It's an opportunity to make adjustments from where you were before. What wasn't working, what was. Separate the wheat from the chaff.
Hey everybody, we're back from the Seven Sage podcast responding to some of our comments. This question came from Alyssa. She asks, any thoughts or recommendations for how to jump back into studying after a short break? What do you think, ZeSean?
Yeah, I say just do it. Don't be afraid of the LSAT. You're gonna get stuff wrong. You're gonna feel rusty. You might feel a little foggy. You might run out of time. Uh, all of that is okay because you got to start there to get over those humps. I would say if you really are feeling courageous, go take a full length practice test and diagnose everywhere that you are weak. What types of questions am I missing? What concepts did I forget? And am I having timing issues? Whatever it is, like just get back into it and diagnose the areas you're weak at. You're going to have to work on them anyway. So I think this question, not to over psychologize, but it comes out of a little bit of fear of like, I'm afraid to see what I'd get wrong or afraid to see my score
Mm,
dip. Don't even look at your score. Just diagnose the weak areas and start working on them. That's what I would say. Sorry if it's a little,
nice.
yeah.
No, as Nike says, just do it. I was going to say the same thing. Um, I was going to say that maybe if you don't know where to start, just jump right back into a diagnostic again to see kind of where you're at. I guess it depends where you left off. Like, had you already taken a full, like, have you already sat for the LSAT and you are coming back a few months later to restart to retake the exam? Or were you like halfway through the core curriculum and then took a long break? Depending where you're at. But if you were already at a point where you were taking full length tests, then the best thing to do to just jump back in would be to take another diagnostic, just see kind of where you're at after that break. Like, is your score still up to par with where you were before? Did you fall off a couple points during those months that you were taking a break and stuff? Exactly, just to diagnose where you're at. Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
It
It's,
also,
go ahead. Yeah.
no, go ahead, Zishan.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's an opportunity to make adjustments from where you were before. What wasn't working, what was. Separate the wheat from the chaff, as we say. And uh, maybe I'd ask you, Nicole, like, what would
The
you tell
wheat
the
from the
person?
chaff. Okay, sorry. I was like, what does that mean? What? Okay.
It's a saying. It's just a saying we have here at Seven Sage.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you, like, say the worst case scenario happens. This person takes a practice test and their score plummets. What would you tell them? Like,
Mm.
is it a big deal? How should they interpret that?
Well, in terms of big deal, I mean, like, is it the end of the world? Definitely not. It's not a life or death exam. But uh, I think depending how much your score plummeted, that could tell you what path to go down. Like, maybe if you dropped, like 10, 15 points from the last time that you had taken a test, however long ago that was, maybe that means you might want to revisit some curriculum, kind of go back to square one, review the types of questions and whatnot, versus maybe if your score only went down like maybe 4 or 5 points, it could just be a matter of getting your timing and your stamina back up to where it was, but you still remember all the material. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I also think like because the LSAT, it's not like a knowledge based exam where you go learn material and apply. It's a skills exam where you're
Mm-hmm.
practicing and developing these skills. So I think those skills can come back pretty quick. You might have forgotten a little conditional reasoning, intuition here or there. You learn that again. But I think if you see a big plummet, I would not be surprised if you get back to where you were pretty fast. So I
Mm-hmm.
would not be devastated if you see a big score plummet, like if you were in the 160s and now you get a 148 or whatever. I think you can make your way back there faster than
Totally.
you did the first time, right?
Totally. Totally
Yeah.
agreed. And I guess one more thing we could think about is like, why did you take the break in the first place? If it's, of course, for some kind of like extenuating circumstance or a change in your
Mhm.
schedule or not, that's understandable. But let's say I know some students take a break just because they start getting really frustrated with studying and they're like,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel like it's doing anything. Like, I'm not improving. Let me just, like, I'm going to just stop for a bit. And that's definitely a reason. And if this doesn't apply to the person who asks a question, you can just ignore this. But you may want to think about how can you adjust your study schedule to prevent that same cycle from happening again. Like, whether that be keeping motivation or like positivity, like maintaining like happy thoughts as you're studying, or just like literally what are you actually doing when you're studying that can help you feel more, uh, feel like you're making more progress. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. Like preventing the burnout. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
actually better. Maybe you'd agree with this. Like rather than taking several weeks off or whatever, maybe visiting a question or two each day. Say you are really tired, you're
Ooh.
burnt out, you want to take a break. Keeping your mind somewhat used to answering questions, I think is not a bad idea. Maybe reading an RC passage here or there. You don't have to commit to several hours of studying a day, but if you really feel like you want to take some time away, maybe a question or two here or there, I think
Mm-hmm.
could really keep you, in shape, in LSAT shape. Yeah,
I love that. That's a great piece of advice. Okay, so we can wrap up by just recapping all the kind of big points we talked about to answer Alyssa's questions. Things like, the easiest thing to do is just to dive back in, but don't feel discouraged if you see some kind of score plummet. That's a perfect opportunity for you to re-diagnose your weaknesses. Think about how you can adjust your study schedule, how you can cater your goals towards your score, and if you feel like you need to take a if you want to take like a mental health break from studying and you're getting burnt out, think about little things that you can do to just maintain in the meantime. Cool.
yeah,
Thank you for asking your question, Alyssa. Hopefully, this helps answer. For the rest of you, feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you'd like us to answer any of your other questions. And we'll see you guys in the next podcast. Bye.
take care.